Hi, welcome to Studio 14. I'm Kim Newcomer with the City of Fort Collins. Well, it's still summer, but you can start to feel the coolness in the air, especially in the morning, and that means fall is on its way. But just because the seasons change doesn't mean we can stop thinking about ozone. To tell us a little bit more about ozone and give us some tips on how we can prevent actually contributing to ozone, I have Lucinda Smith. Lucinda is a senior environmental planner for the City of Fort Collins. Thank you for being here, Lucinda.
You bet. Hi, Kim.
I think what people might be asking is why do we care? I think everyone kind of knows what ozone is, and we kind of know it's bad, but break it down for us in simple terms. What contributes to ozone and really why is it a problem for our community?
Well, I'll do my best. Ozone is a secondary pollutant that's formed from emissions from cars and trucks, from industry, including the oil and gas industry, and from several other sources. And it's a problem because it's a respiratory irritant. And one thing I want to help people understand, often people get confused thinking, isn't ozone good? Well, something that helps me remember is good up high, bad nearby. So ozone in the upper atmosphere is good because it blocks out harmful UV radiation.
Right.
But down here, it's definitely an air pollutant that causes respiratory problems, and it can affect healthy adults who are out exercising, not just people with respiratory sensitivity. Cars contribute around 25 to maybe 30% of the pollution that creates ozone.
So why don't you give us some tips about how we can help lessen our contribution to the ozone problem?
Well, one of the things has to do with when we fuel up our car. First of all, don't fuel up the car in the middle of the day when it's hot because gasoline will vaporize. Another thing you can do is when you're filling up your vehicle, be sure to stop at the click when you're pumping gas. That will also help prevent gas from vaporizing.
So none of that topping off. All of us, we love to get those extra few gallons or extra few minuscule drops of gasoline. Don't do that.
Right, don't top it off. And there's another thing you can do having to do with fueling your car, and that is be sure when you replace your gas cap that you give it a good several clicks to be sure it's very tight. That also prevents gasoline from vaporizing and contributing to ozone. There are several other things we can do related to our cars and driving that also reduce ozone pollution. One is reduce all unnecessary idling.
You can actually hear the train in the background. That is perfect timing. So for example, when you're sitting at the tracks and you're waiting for the train to go by, instead of just sitting there, actually shut off your car.
You bet. Turn it off for the time that the train's passing, and not only will you reduce pollution, you'll also save a little fuel, and that will save money, so it's a good thing.
Absolutely. Another place that I know I've been guilty of idling, I actually made that into one word, guilty of idling is school zones, picking up and dropping off kids.
Yep, that's another very important place to consider turning off the car. It's better all around.
Any other tips, Lucinda, as we're talking about cars, gasoline, filling up, what else can we do?
You bet. Another one related to your car is to make sure that the tires are properly inflated, because when they're not properly inflated, you reduce fuel efficiency and therefore are burning more gas than you otherwise would have to. If we get away from our car and think about our yards, mowing the grass is a big contributor because gasoline mowers often emit a lot. So if you have to mow the lawn, do it in the evening when it's cooler, or better yet, use an electric or a reel mower.
What else can we do around our house that's not related to cars?
One has to do with barbecuing. Instead of pouring on lots of charcoal lighter fluid, cut back on that, or even consider using a different kind of grill. That reduces ozone precursors.
That's not one I would have ever thought of. So, all right, watch when you barbecue, mow when the sun is low. What else?
How about inside the house? When you're thinking about painting projects, definitely look for water-based paints and stains and things like that. That definitely reduces the VOC emissions that contribute to ozone.
Now, as someone who loves to paint her house, say at least once a year, how's the quality of those water-based stains and paints? Is it comparable to sort of the more traditional versions?
I think that it's been improving over the years, and I think the best thing to do is to talk to the salesperson wherever you're buying the paint. But they now have a lot of colors in either zero or low VOC models, and they've been improving significantly. They are usually, though, just available for inside. They don't have a lot of zero VOC outdoor paints yet.
Folks might be wondering, how come we as a local government are involved in ozone prevention?
Ozone is addressed at the federal level, but that's where they set the health standards, and then the state is the one that sets the primary regulations to reduce ozone pollution. But there's a lot that can be done at the local level, and so our role at city government is to try and let people know about the problem so that they can A, try to protect their health, and B, do small actions that help reduce ozone pollution.
So how do we measure ozone?
Ozone is measured by the State Health Department in 2 locations in Fort Collins. One is on CSU's campus and the other is out west of town at the CSU Atmospheric Science Center. And those readings and that information are available on the City of Fort Collins website at fcgov.com/air quality.
So tell us how we're doing. You mentioned that there's sort of federal standards that we need to meet as communities. How does Fort Collins stack up?
Right. Fort Collins is part of the non-compliance area for ground level ozone. We're not alone though. We join Loveland, Greeley, Boulder, and Denver in a large multi-county area that's out of compliance for the 8-hour health standard for ozone.
So what does that mean? I mean,
Well,
it sounds bad, Lucinda.
What it means is that one of our monitors has had an ozone reading that exceeds the level that was set by the federal government as being protective for public health. And so when the state is drawing up plans to reduce ozone pollution, they're obviously looking at sources and actions that include Fort Collins as well as these other Front Range areas.
Got it. Well, it's good to know. It's good to know that that information of when we're compliant, when we're not, is available online. And you know, it brings it right back to what you said. It's little things make a big difference.
Right. You know, there are a couple of other ways people can get information about daily ozone levels or other air pollutants. I mentioned fcgov.com/air quality. A second one, though, would be to sign up for EnviroFlash, which is an email or pager notification system that one can set for getting a notification at any level of air pollution you wish. And to sign up for that, you just go to enviroflash.info.
And so, for example, on those days where they predict that ozone levels will be worse, you could choose to ride your bike instead of drive into work.
Right, or if you were sensitive to ozone, you might not choose to ride your bike. And if it were to be worse, you might even choose to stay home in the afternoon.
Got it.
So there's several opportunities. There's also an 800 number that people can call to get the daily air pollution forecast. It's 1-888, the number 4, the air.
Well, Lucinda, thank you so much for being here today. Great tips and great information about what the city's doing.
Thanks very much, Kim. I appreciate the opportunity.
Absolutely. And remember, clean air, it's up to us.